what are all the variables that are there to take a trading decision? You're going to simulate that. Or a list of conditions are met, you take an action. But since this is just a simulation, instead of trading, you log your trades in a journal. I have my entry, I have my exit, things are sorted, and I have my numbers also. There are different ways to do backtest. Primarily, the most easiest way is to do a vectorized backtest, and the most complex one would be an event-based backtest. So when I say vectorized backtest, it just finds the returns vectors of your strategy and then gives you results. But an event-based backtest is more realistic in the sense you can actually simulate real-world scenarios. You almost create a backtest in a mind that you went back in time, you are in front of the trading system. What are all the variables that are there to take a trading decision? You're going to simulate that. Try to create as many real world trading conditions as possible for the backtester. While you're coding, you should have reusable code in the form of functions, but we are just extending this idea. You should have certain functions that do certain jobs. If you break down the problem into these levels and creates individual functions that handles these events, your job becomes much easier. The next step is execution logic, right? So when do you place an order? If certain conditions are met, that is also an event for you, right? If list of rules or a list of conditions are met, you take an action. That action could be taking an order, or maybe canceling an order could be an action. Maybe you have a event written like, if the index went up by 2% in 5 minutes, I don't want to trade. I want to close all my positions because this is not a condition I'm prepared for or I want to deal with, because you treat it as a red flag. Then in execution logic, you add all these triggers and assign the roles. The actions your backtest should do when it is dealing with events on beginning of the month would be different from its actions at middle of the month. In the same context, if I want to enter at beginning of the month and exit at end of the month, my backtester should know, it should be time sensitive, and it should know whether it is a beginning of the month or not, because we are dealing with event based backtester. If I do this at the backtest level itself, it's easy for me to take it live. I personally believe the way a quant or an algo trader should approach any strategy is, you add all the conditions and make it as real world as possible when you do backtest itself, so that when you really want to take it live, it should be a 1 or 2 step process. You should not create your live trader from scratch. It should be an extension of your backtest. Your backtest should have some metrics ready, and live trader, you just need to connect. For example, I'll give you a very realistic example. Let's say I have condition A, B, and C. I wrote a backtest in a way that if condition A, B, and C are met, consider I'm entering long in an options contract. So what happens in backtest? You don't trade, right? You note down, you mark it in a data frame or a local file. You mark the entry time, entry price, the reason why you entered, and then you wait for exit. When I go for live, I don't need to do anything. I just need to change this logic. In this logic, instead of writing it in a data frame, I ask the function to place a buy order. That's the only difference. Ideally, this is how it should be. Ideally, if you create a backtest, it should be capable enough to facilitate just 1 or 2 changes to make it live. What is happening in your backtest loop? So it's going to, on a first trading day of the month, it's going to check if there are any positions. If you don't have any positions, then what is your condition to enter on a first trading day, right? So it just calls this function and creates the options, long call option data frame for you. And ideally, in a real time scenario, you go and trade. But since this is just a simulation, instead of trading, you log your trades in a journal. So you log your entry details and the price at which you entered. And then you see what is your profit, update your flags, and then move. So since my conditions are met, if my condition of not having a position and it being a very first day, it goes in and set up a strategy for you. The next steps are fairly simple. In real life, when you set up a long call, you go enter your positions, like trade it in your trading system. But here, instead of trading in your trading system, you update your data frame. And so I created a trades data frame. I calculated the net premium, and finally I updated what is my current position. Earlier my position is 0. Now I took a long, so my position is 1, and calculated the mark to market, added 1 to my trade number counter. I started with 0. Now I entered a long position. I updated it to 1 and printed it for us. So that's the print you have seen here. Once the conditions are met, it is entering on this particular date and it paid this much premium to enter the long call position. So this particular contract has lot size of 50. So I need to calculate P&L trade wise, like entry minus exit into position, like how many lots I have taken. So all these things were added. So I'm just assuming a lot size of 50. Just by taking round trip details, all these are calculated. And now it is more uh, detailed. I have my entry, I have my exit, things are sorted, and I have my numbers also as an exit I've added. What is the P&L of each trade that was also added, and the turnover. Now this is where I add more details. I want to add costs also. I don't just want to track P&L, because this is one mistake people do. They just calculate the trade P&L based on entry and exit, but they don't generally consider the trading costs, slippages, etc. When they're actually trading. Those are the things that impacts the most. So your backtest analysis also should include that.